So you have this incredible kind of conversation between history and fiction that felt really exciting, and having the chance to do a period movie allowed us to make really great use of a lot of those amazing practical locations in or around Eastern Europe.
Nina, it's been 8 years since we've had a Hunger Games movie. I would say 8 years too long, if you ask me. How excited were you to dive back into the world of the Hunger Games, and what excited you the most to explore about the lore of the Hunger Games?
Well, I was incredibly excited. Just the idea of, they say you could never go home again, but this was like getting to go home again to this incredible collaboration that we've had with Suzanne and Francis and myself, and so many of our department heads came back, and then we've added some incredibly gifted people, both, behind the scenes and on camera. For me, I was really excited to be able to explore this moment when the Hunger Games themselves were like in this existential crisis, and that, of course I can relate to the notion of people saying like, well, we have to get butts in seats, how are you going to get people to want to go, want to watch the games? And of course, the movies we made and the books that came before them, the games were already like deeply embedded in the culture as like an obligation and a practice. The idea that there was this moment where they might have all gone away, and that to find out that Snow was instrumental in that shift and the gamification and glitzing up of the games and the making it all feel like so much fun with the wardrobe and the stylist, all of that, to imagine that all of that sort of began in this moment on this 10th games, and might not ever have happened had it not been for the young Coriolanus Snow. That I found really intriguing. Speaking
of Snow, I love stories that are centered around complex characters where we really get to see the origins, and this is no different. Can you talk about the importance of casting somebody that an audience can empathize with, but ultimately knows where the destination of this character goes?
Well, it really required us to find a very accomplished young actor, somebody who, at least physically, you could believe could grow up to become the Donald Sutherland version of the character that we all know and hate. And like you say, we know that he goes bad, and yet you have to be engaged in this tug of war with yourself in the same way that he is in this tug of war, being pulled between these different forces and influences in his life. You have to have this like desire to somehow want to see him go make a different decision, even though you know he won't. And yet, ultimately, you have to get to a place where it feels really satisfying when he finally lets go of the impulse to do good and lets himself be the villain we know he will ultimately become.
I love the world building of the Hunger Games. I think this film does such a great job of kind of expanding upon that. Can you talk about the challenges of shooting a period piece in the world of Panem?
That was a very fun and exciting challenge. We were, the notion of 64 years earlier, we wanted the world to feel much more analog. We really wanted to feel the presence of the war, that the war is not a distant memory. Obviously, we open with a flashback. We open with the experience of two children in war and the way in which war sort of shapes who they are. And then when you get to, the movie's present, you're looking at a time where the Capitol, it is not this shiny, happy people place. It is still a place recovering from war. So we turn to a lot of references of, the kind of reconstruction of Germany after World War II. We had incredible Uli Hanisch, who made incredible use of these practical locations, and that really, and some of which had amazing resonance with our themes and ideas. The inside of our arena is this, Centennial Hall in Poland, but the exterior and some of the surrounding areas are all in the Olympic Village in Berlin, where Jesse Owens was running in front of Hitler and the Reich. So you have this incredible kind of conversation between history and fiction that felt really exciting, and having the a chance to do a period movie allowed us to make really great use of a lot of those amazing practical locations in or around Eastern Europe.
Well, look, this film is absolutely incredible. I mean, it's 2 hours and 45 minutes long, but it kept me engaged the whole way through. I absolutely loved it. Thank you so much for your time.